Ooh. You gonna get what you get.
You go and you can't pitch a fit. You can't pitch a fit. Damn. Let's do it.
Oh man, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of the Small World podcast. I have with me today Miss Genesis and also
Hey,
Miss Cherie. How y'all been? What y'all got going on?
good vibes and frequencies.
Except that last one. Yeah. hmm We're good. We're good over here.
All right, cool. So on this episode, probably gonna do like a 2-part series on it. We're gonna call this Journey of Self. So the first topic we're gonna touch on is reflection of self.
So I was kind of thinking like it's easy to see the wrong in others and where they mess up, but it kind of hits differently when it's yourself. And it's cool when you got awesome friends to check you and help you see, but when you're looking at yourself, it's like when you find something that you don't expect to be there, that's where that shadow work comes in. Like, ew, that is ugly. you know so I was just kind of looking at what type of things rob us of our peace, what type of things in our day-to-day lives change our frequency to something that we don't want, or in our relationships, like what sets us into a
What are some of those things in your life that makes you do that?
I don't have anybody in my life right now, but I'd say lack of communication, because as you see, I talk a lot. So I need somebody that could throw it back. And like seriousness when it's unnecessary, not being able to have like that childlike demeanor.
Okay. What about you, Miss Sherry?
Hmm. Let me hear the question again. Like things that
What?
I don't necessarily. What's the
Things that
Yes.
give
question?
you the ick in yourself or in somebody else, like in a relationship or yourself.
Um, I think my biggest struggle is patience. Not with like my. I don't like when I become impatient, and I don't like when I feel like I don't have control over myself. So, and it's not often where I lose control, but I find like I can feel it building in myself, and I have to like make an actual effort to bring it back down because I don't like what that can turn into.
I definitely went through a similar situation, and it was like I had to get to the root of, okay, so mine was an unhealthy attachment. And it was like oh my gosh, why is this dog so loud? It was an unhealthy attachment, and it was looking at me having to look at where that came from in my childhood, and what led to that. And I had to get to the root of that to realize that a lot of the issues that I deal with currently or dealt with were emotions that I hadn't dealt with, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And that was hella shadow work, and realizing that sometimes my modes of communication are toxic, and I'm like, I care for this individual, so why am I getting the ick from a text message or something? You know what I'm saying? Like, and I had to get to the root of that. Okay, well, that was these feelings of rejection. And sometimes I feel like we lie to ourselves. It's not so much that we're lying to somebody else. We're like, we accept different situations and we're like, okay, I'm cool accepting this situation. And then you go back to like who you are at your essence. And once you get back to you, you're like, okay, yeah, no, I'm not cool with that. Or I didn't realize I felt this way. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes that can be humbling in itself. Like, I thought I had this on wraps. Oh shit, I don't. Let me rein this back in like you did, because I refuse to be one of those people that see toxicity in myself and don't address it.
That part.
True. I feel like sometimes when people have that reflection, it's something about the truth that makes it unsettling to you. And I think a part of that is realizing that at the end of the day, it's your fault that you went through it. And it's like you said, once you realize that, that's when you realize I lost control, but I really had it the whole time, but I just let my guard down. In a sense, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when you couple that all together, that right there takes a strong person to be like, yo, I did it, but it ain't gonna happen no more, whatever the case may be.
Right.
It's recognizing that pattern, because it made me look back on the patterns of my life. Like, I continuously go, I wouldn't say go after, but I find myself in these situations where I'm not interested in very many people at all. Talking to me, money, there's not very much that impresses me unless it's intellect or spirit. So then once I do finally attach to somebody, then it's like I wasn't ready for the strength of that attachment, or I fooled myself into believing that that attachment wasn't, I don't know, kind of like when you're young, you think I'm not sleeping around or nothing, like, but when you're young, you think that you could just go from one person to another person and
not address,
not catch on their energy. Like, you just bonded with this many spirits, and I had to remember I'm not a normal. So me already being more in touch with my spirit, that those connections, whether it's a friend or whatever, your birthday just passed. For the last 3 days before your birthday, you were in my head, and I'm like, man, I gotta call her. Man, I gotta call her. And then when I see it on, pop up on Facebook, I was like, oh, bro, like, that makes sense. After all these years, I'm still connected around that time of year. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we got to be realistic about, those connections that fundamentally change our essence.
I remember me and Genesis, we used to talk about like, even because we've known each other for such a long time, like, our nature is very similar. Our birthdays are close. Like, we're very similar in like our thought processes, how we view the world, how we
Morals.
view people. Right. And even when it comes to, I know I'm far more probably critical than you are. And I think that where we've kind of not veered off, because ultimately I still feel like we're the same. Like, our heart is still the same. The goodness is still the same. I feel like where we kind of just veer off is just like, for me,
my naivety, my rose-colored glasses.
A little. You always seeing God in everybody. And it's not always there. And
but I
feel
swear
like
I'll be resurrecting the God out of
things.
everybody.
But that's one of my favorite things about you. But it's one of the things that I honestly probably worry about the most about you.
I do seem like I'd be like, oh, let's follow the bear into the woods, and
And I'm like, no,
baby.
Come back.
So with that being said,
but the butterfly went by right at the time I thought of saying hi.
Girl, that's a caterpillar that fell.
Oh man.
Were you gonna say SmallWorld?
Yeah.
Fat moth.
Wait a minute.
With dreadlocks.
Exactly. It's falling.
Yeah,
just let it fall, boo.
With that being said, how do y'all like set up your boundaries and like far as what you accept and what you won't accept?
You want to go first?
You go first.
Boundaries as far as like relationships, friendships, etc. Like, or all.
Just in general. We do it in general.
I think generally, like where I'm at right now, and I gotta be honest, I grew, I'm from a skeptical people, right? And the older that I get, the more I become like my folks. And it's just like I have to check. That's a bit of an ick, actually, going back to the other conversation. That's a little bit of an ick. It's like I don't like that critical side that I have, and I know I gotta like let people in, but I've just gotten to a point where I kind of just keep people at arm's length. I'm I would always say that I'm shy. Everybody who's like close to me is like, absolutely not. You're not. But I'm like, no, for real, I'm shy. So in new situations, new settings, I just watch and I see how people move. And then based off of that is how I move after that. Meaning like the same way Vanessa was, sorry girl. The same way Genesis was saying earlier. Like I create these boundaries with people basically because of the fact that like I've been hurt. You know, you have your feelings hurt as we get older, as our friendships evolve, adjust, people get married, they have kids, etc. It's like those relationships change and you got to like find your footing in these situations. But I found I had to kind of like take a step back and observe people and then I just set up my boundaries accordingly. But I have a very small circle. Most of my friends I've had for a long time. And it's hard for me to get close to like newer people because I just don't trust people. I'm
But you're
very
like me,
skeptical.
where everybody feels close to you, but you don't necessarily feel close to people.
Yeah,
Like
I just think
your
that's like, I'm just a
personality.
laid back person. I'm just like,
Hmm.
you do you. I don't try to change nobody. I don't try to set the tone. I'm chilling. If I see that there's like something that needs to be done or step up or something's not being done, then I absolutely will say something. But for the most part, I let people do what they do. And I'm not going to try to change you. I'm not going to try to alter you. I'm not going to, however you move is how you move. And if we don't vibe, then we can just go our separate ways. No, no animosity, no nothing.
I think that's
Yeah, I
what
I don't
feel
sets
know.
like
people apart too.
yeah, I feel like that's the best way to go about it. Because
Yeah.
because everybody got their expectation, but when reality meets that expectation, it's like what you gonna do.
hmm
You
And I
know.
find that when you have that expectation, like your feelings get hurt when your expectation is not met. And it's
Hmm.
sometimes it's just not personal. It's not how they feel about you necessarily. It's just what your expectation is. So adjusting your expectation makes it easier to like, you know, to move about things and not allow yourself to get too involved and too yeah,
I think
I
that's a
can't
big,
I can't get
yeah.
involved. Hmm?
I think being able to, for me, I've learned that not putting a boundary or a title on things, not like a title like boyfriend, girlfriend, but like, okay, these are the activities we engage in. This is how often I can see you. This is where you fit in this.
Hmm.
Um, that is where the unrealistic or placing expectations on somebody comes in when there's not that communication. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I think that I've learned, like I said before, like communication would have to be my boundary. I don't think that I can ever be with somebody that we're not on the same vibration and our spirits aren't on intertwined. And I don't think I could be with somebody if their mind wasn't capable of sharing itself. Which it's hard to find, like, it's hard to find a woman that will shut up and it's hard to find a guy that, will open up.
What you trying to say?
Oh, man. All right. So with that being
Finish
said, what is something? What is like a green flag? Something you would say to look for.
um just that, being on the same vibration and having an understanding and a communication. So, expressing your expectations out of something. expressing where you're at and where you've been in order to understand who it is that you're with. A lot of times people will just put on a front or a fake, if you will. And then at the end, they're like, okay, they think they're reaping the benefits of being held or being held down. But in all reality, you still don't have love because that person isn't loving you. They're loving that facade that you put up. Sometimes that facade's intentional and sometimes that facade's not intentional. But regardless, it's not you at the end of the day that can say that I'm loved, even if nobody else knows it but you. Is my camera not showing? Because it's not showing for me either.
I don't see you.
Nah.
But why though?
You don't know say. I've been practicing.
I've been practicing. What is going on with my camera? But why though? You guys can still hear me.
It'll come back. What's a green flag for you, SmallWorld?
The who?
What's a green flag for you? Like what yeah, think like what's a go for
green
you
flag?
when dealing with other people?
I say just kind of how they move. Cause I could like this right here. What I'm doing is like outside of my norm. Like normally I'm just chill, laid back to myself, not really talking to nobody. But if I see somebody who moving and they talking right, they ain't on no crazy, it's like you say, the vibes.
Yeah. I say for me, I need authenticity. Like I don't, in the same way as Genesis, like I'm not impressed by a lot of things that like for instance with men doing, even with like females sometimes, like going out with females and they're like, if they're into that type of persona where they're just like, oh, I only talk to this and I talk to that, and they're trying to talk about who they're dating or whatever. It's just like all that to me is very like, ugh, that's a big that's a big red flag for me. So authenticity, if I don't feel like I gotta impress anybody, I feel like you get what you get, you don't fit the fit, we don't have to vibe, it's cool. Like, because everybody's not for everybody. So my biggest green flag probably is just someone who's able to authentically be themselves. They don't put on airs, male, female, aunt, uncle, anybody. It's just I like to be around people that I like, and I feel like I can feel your energy. I can feel when you're playing at things, and I can feel when you're being like realistic.
Good judge of character for sure. I like myself.
No,
I'm a good
are.
judge of spirit. I won't just have anybody around.
I think you are with other people, but I just think like it's the same with the naivety with being naive basically. It's just like giving people more, like you're like the flag comes over here and you're like this. Like I don't
But it's
I don't
kind of
see
orange
anything.
though if you look at it from the right angle.
That's what I'm saying. You looking at your peripherals. You gotta look at it. You gotta look at it. Stop playing so much.
And that's why having a friend like you, because you'll be like, here it is. It's in your face. You can't miss it. I think that's important that you have friends that hold you accountable, like good or bad, and make sure that even if you don't want to hear it, that you're able to know. Like, at least I told you. Whether you choose to do something with it or not is on you.
Yeah, I don't like the fake stuff. I don't like people like, don't come at me telling me, well, I knew that, but I don't want to say nothing. You should have told me. That's how I feel about it. I want to know.
Crash?
I want to know.
Cherie, you could turn your camera the other direction.
I don't want to.
Oh, okay. I kind of like it that
way. Am I sideways?
Yeah, you are.
I don't know. I should have got my computer.
You could have just laid down and then it would have looked like he was upright.
We're here now.
Perfect. That's everything we're here for.
Yeah, we're here now.
That face right there. Okay.
What's next?
So this is a question I ask everybody who comes on the show. If you can go back to your younger self, what's one piece of advice would you give yourself?
Bitcoin. No, I was playing. Invest.
Ball it.
I'm thinking.
Finish school before you have children. Have your career established before you have children. And I've been given that advice. That kind of goes with what we were talking about earlier. The best advice you never took.
Yeah.
I wouldn't take it back because otherwise I wouldn't have my munchkins. But as far as my younger self, just advising her, that would be it.
I don't know.
Don't have kids before 30.
Well, I don't have kids. So
Oh,
maybe
no,
I would have just had a kid. I should have done with my younger self. But I don't know. I would probably tell myself not to be so reserved to a certain degree. Like I should have taken a few more chances. And I wish I didn't doubt myself as much as I did when I was younger. And even now, I just feel like I wish that I would take more chances, but I'm not like I'll do things and try things, but I don't really like take big chances and stuff like that. I'm a punk.
These are lies. These are lies. These are
man.
lies. These are lies. What happened to us?
Man, I say
as far as you being a punk, you are the one to you're the one to instigate some, not anything negative, but you're the one to instigate adventure. Adventure, yes. Let's go climb into that castle, or you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know.
We ain't never been in no castle.
No, we ain't been in no castle. I wasn't gonna say. Remember when we were teenagers and A, B, C, or D?
True story. Yeah, but I mean, well, just like I feel like that you kind of brought that out of me, and I kind of brought in like a calmate to you, and you brought into a. So it's a balance.
I don't know. I just always respected your authenticity. Like you're always yourself, and who that is a very vibrant character. You are a character and a half. Try to act normal.
oh man.
She's a liar. Yeah. No, but I mean, like, and I feel like I'm good at projecting that, or even like I texted you earlier, and I was just like, what am I gonna say? Like I'm overthinking it. So I have moments. I think that's the duality, is like the moments of like I'm doubting, like what am I gonna say? I'm uncomfortable, I'm nervous, and then I just turn it on and be like, fuck it, here we are. And I think that's kind of just how I bring myself out of it. But I would say I feel like I should have taken a few more risks.
Okay.
Well,
But not no more. Not no more. I know it is.
It's not too late. We can go on old people adventures in the forest.
Hold on, time out. You say what now?
Because we're older, so we can go on like old people adventures in the forest.
Who old?
Kayaking, you know, like simple stuff. I'm not trying to jump out of the plane.
I did that once. I'm okay. I did that too. I'm okay.
Well, we can go on a walk, you know.
Anyway,
and maybe we can go like be pathfinders in the woods in a tent. Jet ski. Man. That's all right. It'd be an adventure walking down
the woods.
Huh?
What's up with you in the woods?
I'm telling you, this girl is a fairy or a fae. You're a little woodland nymph. Like, and you know I got allergies, so I don't even know why we're talking about a forest, okay?
I will pay for your inhaler.
Yeah, you are you're such a little Natalie Nature.
I don't know. I
the
feel like that's what
trees.
gets us back to the frequency. Like, I feel like we as a people are what jack up the frequency of the earth. And if
Who's
it
we?
just
I'm just kidding.
our species, especially the males.
Oh man.
Here we
Shots
go, small world.
fired.
We told you you was
Shots
gonna need.
fired.
We told you you was
Shots
gonna need some
fired.
backup. So here we go. Okay.
I'm just saying, like, they've been running it for a minute. There's holes in the ozone layer. I would have been hugged a tree and healed the earth and made something out of like biodegradable plastic by now and had us all doing just fine. And they have the abilities and they choose not to. So, you know, that's the men, the powers that be. Let it be up to us. We'd be fine.
Nah.
Facts.
I would
Facts.
say that. It's them. It's them.
It's them. It's
There's,
always
yeah,
them.
there's,
Who wants to
there's
face
us and there's
accountability?
them. Yeah. There's us and there's them.
Yeah, if they not like us, I
No,
guess.
they're not. They're not.
Boom,
Not at all.
boom, bam.
Oh
Ah,
man.
Kendrick.
Yeah. You just started talking about nature. I'm like, man, I'm going to go put my feet in some dirt.
Oh yeah, they're grounded.
Yeah. It's been a minute.
Yeah, I didn't
Kind of
know.
accidentally in sandals.
Yeah, I just found out my
So
job is on a slave site.
they do
What's
what?
that?
Yeah, like it's on slave grounds.
Wow.
You
And
pull up, you can see like the outhouse right at the gate when you pull up.
That was
it's
one thing I came
crazy.
down here and was like, do you have plantation houses? It's like their communities straight up
Mm-hmm.
says
Oh, I
plantation
know.
in the name.
I know. My some of my people are from the South in South Carolina. So I would go out there every summer and we got our little area over here and they got their area over there. But I can dig it though. I can dig the separation of it. I can, you know what I'm saying? It's like something that's very like the South is the South. It is what it is. But at the same time, it's like just kind of in your face. Ain't nobody playing around. California, you know how it is in Cali. Like you kind of don't know.
I feel it's just the opposite down here because in Cali, you gonna know because, I mean, other than the people who want to, they hit a
I
lick
mean,
and
they
say,
have the
"Oh, you're
sundown towns out here too, but I mean, as just as far as how insidious it is, it's like you don't necessarily know until you go into a place and you feel the vibe. When you feel the eyes on you, you feel the vibe. Whereas in the South, I feel like when I was out, when I would visit, etc., like that, it was just you already kind of know where not to go. But I
yeah,
hate that they just trying to just paint over it all. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, they trying to. How y'all feel about
Yeah,
that DEI?
that's the ick.
that's an ick." Great response. I'm gonna second that
it's
in
just
motion.
it's just an ick. I mean, I just feel like the notion that any group of people is monolithic or is one way specific is just such an antiquated thought process. And so I feel like there are enough examples of people in elevated positions of every nationality to where you can't just say, oh, they're all stupid or, oh, they're just not up to par. So I just struggle with like how people can still like believe what they believe, I guess. It's just, just, I get it, but I don't get it. I don't get how this thought process hasn't evolved for more people at this point.
I think that until there is enough inclusion to the point where everybody's equally represented, then DEI is still necessary. Until there are as many Black women, until there's many Hispanic, until there's as many Asians, until it is equally distributed and that's the norm, then it's still necessary because there's always going to be that ceiling of the majority of the upper floor is possessed by, I'd say, but damn near people. You know what I'm
I
saying?
mean, yeah, it's kind of like where does all the anger come from? Because when it comes to the major systems in this country, you still have the majority of them being Caucasian owned. The majority of the wealth is like in the 1%. And it's like these are the people that set the tone for things. And you see like what it is now, I feel like there's just like an unveiling of things that I personally have felt I've seen for a long time. I feel like, if you're paying attention to what's around you, you like I said, you notice the vibes. You can tell when, I don't necessarily get a call back from a job. Once they can see, if they can tell by my name, then they're like, I'm not going to necessarily get the call back, or I'm not necessarily going to get the opportunity. And you just see in so many instances where it's like there's never been a real push for the equality, and every little bit that we've gotten, we've had to fight for. So now them just rolling back all that and so many people being okay with it is just it's it's heartbreaking, but at the same time I feel like, okay, now can y'all see with
The
the
need for
veil coming off
recognition.
now? Right. Can you see like that white supremacy notion coming into play where we can't necessarily, like, as much as you might want to say you don't see it, it's you can see it.
Well, that brings me to my next question. Since y'all said what you said, it's clear that this system ain't built for us. So how do we, in a system that's not built for us, do that? How do y'all
Step
feel?
outside the system. You have to unite and step outside the system. Like the ants have to unite against the grasshoppers. Otherwise, we're going to keep getting stomped. We have to have our own food. We have to have our own networks. We have to realize the value of our own dollar. We have to realize the value of, hey, Mr. Robinson on the corner has the ability to build houses, and Miss Jackson has four different grandkids that are, have muscles and need to learn a trade. But you know what I'm saying? Like you need to learn the value of the elders and the people in our community and stop being so separated. And it's a trust. And that's one thing that I think is beautiful about this ugliness that is happening is when I was coming up, Hispanics and blacks don't get along. That's war. Like I'm not saying like on a day-to-day basis, but when it comes down to the gangs, like you don't want to be black caught in a Chicano neighborhood. You don't want to be Chicano be caught in a black neighborhood. And that's just the way it was. And finally they're starting to realize, hey, this is a class issue. This is we're all literally in the same boat. Even these poor ass white people, like you're all dependent on them for food. So the longer that that's the case, I feel like that's why they're trying to snatch everything away real quick in order
Mm-hmm.
to, what do they do, with all those Lake Lanier and stuff? Once they see some type of gathering, they're going to come through and try to poison or whatever. But if you're not reliant upon them for things, then you have a lot better chance. Unified. Sorry, I don't know what the question was. That was a tangent, but here I am.
No, you're good. I mean, you're
Yeah.
just talking about like the good thing about the ugliness is I feel like you said, we kind of get to see the necessity of each other. And I feel like learning again to trust each other. I feel like there's just been such a division within, you know, African American. It's just so many things in place that are in place to divide, for just to keep us divided. And ultimately it's this much of the population that put their hand in all the cookie jars, and then here and down it's all of us, but they keep us fighting and they keep us separating. And the fact of the matter is, the 1%, I mean, do you know how rich they are? like
Girl.
when you put into perspective the fact that if they lost 99% of their wealth, they would still be richer than the majority of Americans. Over
True.
50% of Americans, like, they would still have more money than them. So the issue, and I thought initially when Trump won the first time, I literally said to myself, this is not even necessarily about race, it's about the haves and the have nots. Like, this is a grifter. This is a snake oil salesman. He's going to say what it takes to sound good, but he's never going to deliver on that. And to me, and my personal belief is that his motivation is, well, I feel like we can all see it now. It's just the 1%. It's just to pander to the 1% and to keep all this crap going. You want to roll back all of our initiatives for the last 60, 70 years. Like, my father grew up in the segregated South. Like, my family worked in cotton fields. We're not that far removed from all of that, and the fact that they're going and now undoing it, and it's like, are we gonna just watch it happen, or when we going
I
to the
think every
Capitol or
generation
not?
needs that uncomfortability. Every generation needs something to make them say ow in order to do something about, the wound.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
otherwise they keep us so busy in these cages running these rat races
distracted.
just to be able to eat that. There was a interview that I was watching, and it was like Musk was like, AI is going to take over. There's going to be robots, and there's going to be a necessary, dividends, essentially. Like, you're going to get a stipend every month, or however you want to put it, in order for people to live. But then the problem is, if people don't have to go to work, how are they going to find meaning? And I'm like, in all reality, we'd elevate and come to a higher plane and be able to figure out our own energy and our own frequencies. And this whole, you know what I'm saying? This whole timeline would be elevated to a different degree. But he's so far removed, like you said, with that small percentage, that you can't see that people aren't going to work because they need meaning. They're going to work so they can eat.
Ketamine Ken is already on Mars. Okay, Ketamine Ken ain't with us.
Man, don't get me started
He's
about
up
that
there.
left eye. They said the Antichrist gonna have a crazy left eye, and it's stuff just doing all types of stuff over there.
Oh man,
I ain't gonna put too much on it, but
that's tough. Cataracts in one
you
eye.
know the
That's tough.
vibes. You know the vibes.
Cataracts. This Joe look like he got a whole little puppet master back there just rolling it around. Probably a son.
So, so I kind of have a question. Okay, if we're talking like first steps, because I mean, what I feel like, honestly, like, I don't feel like we're that far removed from Handmaid's Tale. We're not that far removed from Hunger Games. When you're gonna turn to AI to take care of the jobs, and then you're gonna take away all these people's jobs, and you want a sense of desperation. You want us out in here in the streets fighting, so you can literally continue to rob us blind. Because I mean, anyone who's a billionaire is a thief of labor. You can't. There's there's no amount of work you can put in to where that would be your worth. Like, it's stolen labor, period. So the fact of the matter is, as the gap has been widening between the haves and the have-nots, and my folks used to say it a while back, like, they want to get rid of the middle class, and you want to have the haves, and you want us in a sense of desperation. I mean, the elite have always, I ain't gonna get too deep, but
Mm.
they
Yeah,
bored.
I feel one of the first things we have to do is we have to address how they're attacking us, and they're attacking us through music is one of the main ways of attacking us. So
Hmm.
what I'm saying is, if you can get up on stage and say vote for a person while shaking your ass, you can get out on this street and really do some work. You know what I'm saying? It shouldn't take nobody in a suit to give you a certain amount of money to want to do something.
Right.
Because then at the same breath, they'll turn around and say, we the reason they got the money. Well, if we the reason you got this money, this is what we
To
require.
begin with.
You know what I'm saying? This what's required of you. If not,
Right.
you got to come back.
Right. And I mean, I think that's part of all these executive orders, is to keep us unbalanced, is to keep us like constantly up at night, scared for the future. What are, just, it's literally just to keep us all unbalanced. And I feel like everything that they do is always, once you see a whole bunch of this trending, look the other way, because that's where the
Mm-hmm.
action is happening. Once you're seeing, oh, Blacks for Trump at the White House, look, y'all. And then they got us getting mad, like, how are you going to be da 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 da? And you got us sitting here going in between each other. Meanwhile, you're firing the Black 4-star general and the female 4-star general to replace them with another, mediocre shill
I think
who's
in the
just
end we're gonna
bending the
need
knee. Huh?
I think in the end we're gonna need that oversight, and it's gonna have to be like an actual moral committee, like as far as like you said, like if we've come to these conclusions that these are moral laws, that these are rights, then they have to be protected. And there's nothing moral about our system. There's nothing moral about the reasons why we choose our candidates. And until, like you said, there's a sense of complete desperation dang near, we're not going to, I feel like we can, but we're not going to feel that inspiration to actually do something about it until that desperation hits in between computers are taking over and, oh, you're getting a stipend. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. And as far as him saying, the music, I think I wrote a little post and it was like, Diddy is buck breaking. And then I only posted a small portion of the thought on there, but it was pretty much like, why did they buck break back in the day? They had their own ego problems. They know that they were inferior in a lot of ways, and that if these people rose up, then you're doomed. And it's still kind of the same thing in the same thought process of, like, I don't feel like Tom Cruise or anybody else, that was white had to go over and get bent over in order to be able to do something. Now, I could be wrong, but if you look at it, the top of it is what the so-called Jewish people that, are the executives and hold, the titles to all of these records and to these things. And I think that back in the day, they were worried about if, they have a sense of equality, they're going to use everything that we taught them about our barbaric ways against us. And so they're worried that we're going to do to them what it is that they did to us. But I don't feel like it's in our genes, our hearts, our energy to do that. But for years, they've had, way back, the Romans were doing sick things to children. They were doing, sick things to each other. They were all the way back. And Vikings, it was the same thing.
When it comes down to this white supremacy game, it's like, if you can convince the poorest white man that he's better than any other race of people, that's going to get them charged up. I mean, think about even with the slavery times, right? You got the owners of the plantation making hella money, right? You got the slaves out here, but who's next door to the slaves? The overseers, the poor white man. You live with us, bruh. You're not living in a big house like that. They use you just like they use us, but they give you a little bit more respect in your mind. They can say the right things to you to arm you up and have you out there fighting everybody without realizing haves and have-nots, right? And it's the same playbook. That's the thing about it. I'm like, in my mind, because of the bubble that I'm in, I'm like, who's surprised? And then I'm like, oh, hella people are surprised. Oh. Like, even the stuff with Project 2025, like, this didn't just pop up out of nowhere. They've been working on this for 40 years. And so then when it comes down to it, you think they got a 900-page manifesto randomly? No, all of this.
He wasn't able to write a healthcare bill the whole time, but he got a 900-page manifesto.
You got a 900-page manifesto, and he's a puppet in
just sitting there, just waiting on.
Just sitting there waiting, the Heritage Foundation. And so they installed this idiot because they know this is the right guy for the job. He's the right guy because he's so egotistical. He's so small-minded. He's so
all you
petty.
have to do is feed his ego.
He's ridiculous. Right. It's like all you got to do is just pump up
his ego or his pockets.
And that's it. That's it. Like that. And I don't know why this is viewed as masculinity. It's so weird to me. It's so odd because I'm like, what about him is strong? Has this man ever worked a day in his life? Legitimately, like a real
Well,
job.
well, that's because now the world view money as the grand all be all. It's
That's
not
the
based
truth.
on anything else other than that. So
That's the truth. Yeah.
It's in the Constitution. We got a right to rewrite all this crap if we don't agree with it, if it's not serving its purpose. But it's like, who's going to do the footwork? I feel like there's been people working on where's our manifesto? Where's our people that have been underground trying to rewrite everything that have the education and the knowledge to do so? At very least, like again, the beautiful out of the ugly is I feel like this next generation coming behind is going to be a lot more educated. They're going to be educating their children
Yeah.
on the great fail of the great, the time we got sidestruck and what they call it, backdoor. That sounds so.
Right.
yeah, but
I
you
mean,
just kind of said my point though when you said where all our people at, all our people working for them.
right.
The
And
first the
it's
first
hard.
thing we do, oh, I'm sorry, first thing we do
No,
most
go
of the
ahead.
time is graduate. What school we want to go? We want to go to day school. We want to go get one of their jobs. And we
Hmm.
don't want to ever come together and think like, hold on, if I can make it to VP of this company and he can make it to a certain level of that, what if we come together and made our own?
Right. But I
It's the
think
same.
that's why we have the tokens
Mm,
that come into play. With you got the
true.
right wing tokens, the Candace. Oh, like the Candace Owens, the people that come in here and sow seeds of doubt. You wanna you they. I feel like this playbook has been in play for a long time, and we've accepted not really trusting each other like that. We've accepted this all or nothing total sum game. If you associate with this person, you're trash, you're this, you're that, you're that. And we're so quick to try to play this cutoff game. And I get it. I feel like in history, the times when we have come together to build something beautiful, what happens? Lake Lanier, Oscarville gone. What happened? Seneca Village. Now we got Central Park. We have, and I just saw a video the other day, and it was at least 10 to 12 places that she listed that I had never heard of,
Hmm.
other than Tulsas, like other Tulsas, basically, where they came in. We create our own. We have a
Was not
thriving
televised.
community. They're watching us they're watching us progress, and it's like, no, they got to come and flip, they got to come and step on it, they got to come bomb it, they got to come kill us. How you still have the last two? It's only two remaining survivors of the Tulsa massacres, and they're still not acknowledging what they've been through. They're still not acknowledging. They won't give us a piece of anything transformative when it comes to policy. And we've all been honestly placated. We see a few of our people get ahead and we're like, yeah, see, I need to be like that, or I need to be like that. Do you know, I mean, honestly, do you know when it comes to sports, we can shut that shit down. But
Yeah.
who's going to compromise their check? Who's going to want to really throw away their livelihood that separated them from the rest of us? You know what I mean? But it's
Hmm.
like in areas that we can come together and really like show something, prove something, it's always stepped on. It's always wiped out. You always sow seeds of division. Even when it came to Black Lives Matter and all this other stuff, then you got all this backstory coming in. They're stealing this and they're doing this and they're doing that. And then we forget the mission because we're not perfect people.
Distracted.
And so as soon as a mistake comes out, it's like, oh no, cut off. Can't listen to him, can't listen to him. It's like we got to get back to the point where we can see what really can work for us as a people and get to the point where we can defend that with so much going on with
Organization.
cameras being everywhere. It's not as easy to hide things under the rug. It's not as you can't just get rid of a whole black village like that in
Yes,
America.
you
You know what I
can.
mean?
Yes, you can. You start a
Technically,
random fire. You start a random fire in Hawaii,
and you start a random fire in Eaton,
in
Yeah.
LA,
LA.
Yeah.
Altadena.
you
Where'd it
start,
come from?
yeah,
They still doing the whatchamacallit. That's true. So that's why it's just like
you bomb the shit out of
like
Gaza.
how do we, how?
And
And
that's,
not, and the fact that we don't pay attention to the fact that all of our plights, we all got the same people in our cookie jar.
well, you have to come down to the fundamentals. It's like you said, when we're desperate, then we find solutions to a problem, essentially. And so when you look back into the Great Depression, they were doing things for themselves. They weren't wasting things. The things that, affect our planet now. If you have old clothes, she has old clothes, everybody's losing and gaining weight. If we came together and had some type of organizations, what percentage of your money, if you didn't have to buy clothes or shoes the whole year, would how much would you save, especially somebody who has kids, for food? You might have teenage sons who know how to do laundry, and an old lady across the street who lets you use her backyard to garden if you do her laundry or mow her front yard, or what I'm saying. Like, there has to be that community, and with that segregation within our own community, and the pitting each other against each other, we're not looking that we are our resource. If we take away
Because we
the
don't
main,
trust each other.
yeah, and that's the only thing that's going to remove that is desperation. I have a grain of rice and you have a bean.
True.
I'm so tired.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ladies
I
and
think
gentlemen.
ultimately it starts with community. I agree with that. What were you
And
gonna say?
trees. Use your land to grow a freaking tree to feed
Girl, I
you.
ain't got no damn land out in California.
You have freaking how many palm trees all along there? You have stuff that you guys could be planting, grapevines up this. Like, there's so many easy things that you can do just on the street in the middle of. How much land is there in Lancaster and Riverside, and you know what I'm saying, that's just vacant?
Who lives there?
How many vacant shits are in the middle of LA, like lots that are just crap? How many doorsteps can you put a bucket on and teach somebody how to
Do you know
grow
them crap
potatoes?
lots are like $1 million for the crap lot?
I think that that's all to do with how we choose to issue stuff. Like, if we have a law system put in place where vacant properties or abandoned properties are used for, things that are going to help house people or things that are going to help feed people or whatever.
Well, they don't
I don't
want
know,
us to do
man.
that. They gonna burn it down.
I got some wood on some pallets. You got a nail and a hammer.
You know what?
They coming with a big old truck.
Norma
Sound
Jean,
like them old TV shows.
right? Yeah, but I feel like, there are things out there that I see that are inspiring. I don't feel like everything is lost. I don't think we need to throw the baby out with the bathwater and give up on America,
It's just under
because there are
transition in a
some
different
great
season.
things here. It is. And like I said, it's kind of like one thing that I've been noticing when it comes to like the Black community, and I'm seeing all these videos of people like, where are you guys, where are ya, because they're waiting for us to like get out front in these movements, right? And there's plenty of people that are still out there, but I feel like the general consensus from the people that I've talked to or have had dealings with is kind of stand back, stand by, take care of each other the best way that we can, and start developing that sense of community a little bit more. Even when it comes to like, I do make an effort to be what's the word I'm looking at? Starts with an I. Where
Intelligent.
no, fool. It'll come to me in a second. Oh, intentional. Just being intentional, just as far as everything. And I going out in the public, if I see African American, I try to make eye contact with people all the time and give a nod, give acknowledgement, even if you're in areas that aren't that great, like my job now is over by Skid Row. The biggest thing I do is make eye contact. I see you as a person and I respect you as a person. I think ultimately where it starts is just respecting, just having a sense of respect for people. And I don't know where you came from. You don't know where I came from. You can never know. Like everybody's like, oh, you don't know my story. Well, you don't know my story. I'm from the bottom. No, I'm from the bottomer. You don't know. And it's like, let's just be in the here and now. You know what I mean? Let's just be in the here and now. For me, it's just my effort, my main effort right now is to be intentional, is to have conversations with people. I found out the homegirl I've known for years had never heard of Project 2025 till I said something. I said, how, Sway? But literally, people don't know.
It's up to
So
us to
I just think in
educate
your
us.
own circle, right, in your own circles, within your own community, reach out to the elderly people that are in my community, reach out to the younger people in my community. And I'm antisocial. That's one of my hurdles, is like talking to people and like having a conversation with people, because it's so easy for me to disconnect and like not want to be bothered.
It comes down to
Just because it's
organization,
just so
though.
much stuff going on.
You may
Yeah.
not like being around somebody, but you may be able to, take those names and be like, okay, I'm going to make a spreadsheet of this household has these muscles that can mow lawns, and this one has this, and being able to match them up. You know what I mean?
Well, no, like, okay, for instance, even in my folks' neighborhood, you know them. They're always walking around the neighborhood. They talk to their neighbors. She has her little, mom's has a little garden in the back. My dad's the one that tends to it because she don't really do it. She the supervisor, we'll just say that. But and they'll just do an exchange within the neighborhood with other neighbors that they have. If they have trees, persimmons, etc., this person might have greens, stuff like that.
That's what I
So
mean.
yeah, and just getting to that point where you can kind of share resources. But it's just, as the skeptic that I am, it's just very difficult to do that.
I think if we're
But
teaching the
we
kids how to
try.
grow the seeds, though, then those are
Kids
the
gonna
muscles of
lead us.
tomorrow. Huh?
The kids got us. The kids gonna lead us.
Yeah,
I think they're the
they're
one.
learning a
Not
lot.
all of them, of course.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot that are lost. It's a lot that we gotta like pull them in and figure out how to pull them in. But I think a lot of the younger generation is kind of waking up to things. They're a lot more accepting of things than the boomers and even our generation. They're a lot more open to things. So, you
Yeah,
know,
you just can't tell them anything either.
I got a question about your slave factory place you were working.
Not a
Did you ever
slave
have
factory.
anything? Did you have anything paranormal happen there,
Um,
or were there stories?
I've heard stories, but like as far as myself, I haven't. Like I thought I heard things or something like that, but as far as like seeing something, mm-mm.
I thought my hair was a ghost one time when I was working at Amazon,
Oh
because
man,
normally
I can see that.
my curls are out to here, and I'm moving all fast. And every time I look this way, whatever shadow I saw would move this way, and I was like, "It's gone." And then I realized it was one of my curls.
You're so goofy. I can see that too.
For real.
Ma'am.
But you know me, I'm trying not to react because I'm a G.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
The
oh
original
man,
Genesis.
oh man.
Shoot.
All right, so that's it for part one. I'd like to thank both of y'all for coming on. Part two is gonna be another hour. Part two gonna be based on solutions and and things like that. That's cool.
That's what's up. I might
All
have
right,
another
cool.
character or two for us.
All right, all right, all right. Peace out.
Look, I got
All
good
right.
taste.
You all right.
That means you all
All
right.
right, y'all.
Love
Whatever.
y'all.